welcome to another SASS Interviews. I'm here with Day Drinker and Phoenix today. We're actually alongside Arius Black Studios with the game Livia. And welcome Jade and Sage. How are y'all doing?
Hi.
Welcome, guys.
Oh my God! I think
cat's
we had like
back
15
just in time.
things.
Just
you could-
immediately.
Perfect timing.
She just knew. She knew.
Mike had like
I swear she was
everything.
asleep just a
15
second ago.
things to like mispronounce there, and he like nailed every one of them.
That's what I do. Been working on it, but getting better. So, Jade and Sage, welcome to the show. We have some interesting things to talk to you about today. The game, obviously, that you're here to talk about is Livia. Tell us a little bit about Livia.
Yeah, okay. So she's looking at me like, sure,
Go for it.
Okay, so Livia is a psychological horror game. It kind of plays a lot like a Souls-like RPG. I really like that play style, with a lot of psychology and psychological elements. All of the monsters and levels are designed after different mental illnesses or sections of being mentally ill, I guess.
Incapacitated. Whatever level of mental ailment you may have, hopefully.
Yeah, so it's a
Of the
visit
gamut.
into Livia, the character's subconscious after she has died, and kind of going through her own sort of journey of processing all of her different traumas and stuff like that. So we've got this guy back here in our setup. This is a boss for the first region. His name is Ideation, and he represents, Livia herself's own self-destructive ideations. And you have to fight that directly. I always joke with people. I say, imagine a game where you can punch all your personal demons in the face.
Now
Doesn't that sound great?
It does sound fucking amazing, actually.
Yeah, because one of the main ideas is kind of there's some things you can face directly, but there's unseen monsters that we deal with every day. You can't really confront it directly, so it's personifying all of these vague notions and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and
That's why she does the
you were
summary.
talking about the personal demons, and so I ran into you at Southern Fried Gaming Convention, or Gaming Expo, I should say, and while you were there, Sage, and I guess I should say really quickly that Jade is you're the programmer, right?
Yes.
And Sage, you're the primary artist.
Yes.
And so I was talking to Jade, and Sage comes up and she goes, "Okay, give me a word." And I forgot. I think it was it addiction? Possibly?
Yes, it was addiction. It was addiction.
Addiction.
Yeah. I don't think I have a crown that
because
nearby,
Sage
but yeah.
was looking for. Well, Sage, I'll let you take over the story from there.
So I was we had decided that we were going to have the monitor flipped and just show me kind of doing some art while we were there, because we had extra space on the table and it'd be some people to come see what we're doing. And that's kind of our process is as I know the premise of everything has to represent some sort of struggle, which is great, or not. But I asked, I was like,
if we
okay,
win or not?
what's the thing, right? Yeah. It's I'm like, what's the thing? Give me a prompt. What do you want me to do? And then so she thinks for a second and she says addiction. And I'm like, I think for a second. And I'm and the thing swirling through my head is, what are things that represent addiction? And it was actually a little bit of a puzzle for a second there, because I don't love drawing people. I like to joke that I can draw them without their skin, but I'm more I could drawing animals is way more in my forte, and then people again without their skin. It's great, easy. But once you add a face, it just gets a lot harder. And so my brain immediately always goes straight to what kind of animal would represent that. And so it took me a second to think. I was like, there's not really any common knowledge animal representation of addiction. But then when I did some research, I was like, pharmaceuticals, they get tested on animals, typically rats. And so then that's where I went down that vein. And so I ended up drawing a rat with his rib cage had pill bottles. And then on his tail and back, he had a lot of syringes sticking in him. And so the kind of thought process was, when she said addiction, I was like, okay, I need to get something that represents that. And so then that's when I sat down and started going for it, was because that's just kind of how it is, And so for this guy, she was like, I need negative ideation. I don't know
if we're allowed to say the word on YouTube. So that's why I was like,
don't want
undewy kind.
Yeah, no demonetization. But it's that kind of ideation. And what occurred to me was, when you think about that, it doesn't necessarily mean you do it. That's not how you died, but ideation, thinking about it at all. makes it so that it's there. It's something. It's a demon of yours, whether you've done anything to bring it any further or not. It's still a demon of yours. And so I had something that was basically in my mind a creature waiting for you to make that decision. And so that's why he's sitting there waiting with his like collection, like,
Ready?
Yeah.
I got it. You want to come? And so so that's kind of where the idea for him came from. And then when I was looking up some stuff that definitely has me on FBI watch list, I found a scarecrow skeleton that was totally not real. That someone totally didn't actually do. It wasn't crime scene photos. And so I was like, that's totally cool. So that's kind of why it ended up being more of a scarecrow theme on it. But I knew I wanted him to hold the thing that you were thinking about.
And I like that
That's
she came
really
up with
cool.
it too.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be like a stationary boss, which is good because it's different.
So, while I was drawing him out, part of the reason what made me wanted to do a scarecrow was I didn't want to draw his legs.
I don't want to sculpt him either.
Right. And so then I was like, well, what if he's because I had seen because what I'll do is I'll look up a bunch of images and a bunch of stuff, and then I'll sit and think of the idea. I'll think of the idea, look up some things that kind of like that my brain's thinking about, and then sit and think about the idea again, and then use whatever I might have liked from before. So I already had seen some scarecrow images, and I was like, I don't want to do legs. And so that's how he ended up being stationary. And so my idea when I was like thinking about it while I was drawing it, because I'm drawing and I'm thinking about drawing, but I'm also thinking about like 100 different things because ADHD. So I was thinking about like, how would this mechanic even work in the game? And in my head, he will shoot into the ground and go somewhere else and then come back up. And then there was another thing that we ended up discussing too about like how, I don't remember, like how the arms, like you go after the arms first and then you end up going for his head, but then something else happens. And I don't want to reveal all the ideas we had about it, but those were like some things that we were thinking about when it came to this guy in particular, because it would be very different than just having a big monster boss guy running at you. It would be very stationary and maybe even a little confusing because you're like, what can't I just go up to him? You'll find out. No, you can't just go up to him.
There are some issues you can't just walk up to.
Right, yeah.
That's true,
Some things
that's
you
true.
can't just confront like that.
So I know there's just two of you, and this is it. Well, I was gonna say when we talked to you, there was two. Is there now more than two? Because I mean, it's a lot of work to do for this type of game. For just like I know, obviously, you probably both wear many hats. Is what I'm getting.
Yeah. Yes. So we do. I would say of the people who are on the team, obviously her being the one that created it, and then me being there for a lot of like the ideas and stuff. We're probably got some of the most hats that we get taken on and off, but we have brought in a couple more people onto the team, a couple artists. One I met next to my job, and so they're coming in and they're helping with a lot of the art stuff that I just did not have time for, and I honestly think that they will execute it in a way that I saw, but I don't think I could personally execute, which is great, because I was like, to execute something like that, it's going to take me 10 times longer, and for someone who's already been doing that for like that specific thing in their way, it's like really great, because now I don't have to relearn a whole new style of art.
Yeah, they draw the people with the skin still on them, so it's really
skin drawers.
That's
Got
really
it.
helpful. Is
skin
they can draw skin.
With skin. Yes, that don't look terrifying.
Yeah.
Their art style is so beautiful. I love it. They're going to be doing a comic series that kind of goes along with the storyline of the game. That way we can have some kind of content coming out, because there's also like a lot of lore that we do not have time for, because there's like it takes about 4 hours.
It takes about
to
4
explain
hours
it to her.
And then I was like, okay, we're gonna go talk to this artist I met. We're gonna bring them into the fold. It's not going to take 4 hours,
and then
right,
it did,
Jade?
but they loved every second.
And then it did. But hey, it gets you on board. So
Yeah. Whatever works.
Right. But yeah, so they're going to be doing the comic right now. What they're doing is actually the art for the Steam page, because we've purchased the Steam page, but I don't have art for it yet, because I can't draw people with skin, and she can, but it would take her forever.
Yeah,
The whole
so
skin
we
thing,
have
man,
the
it's
skin
just
person
holding
doing
everything
skin is
down.
a real barrier, and it always has been
It's
a barrier.
to
For
like-
all people,
I mean,
feel like
it's a natural
philosophically and
some one way or
physically.
another way.
Yeah. No, it's
It's a barrier against water, against germs. It's a barrier for all kinds of
It's a
things.
barrier.
It's
against
also a mental
progress.
barrier for myself when I go to draw things. But it's okay. It's okay.
And then we do have Katie, who is
Yes.
she helps a lot with the UI and stuff, like
She
the
has
actual
a lot of the UI,
the
a lot of the
winged
like
logo
a
and
lot of
stuff.
like the detail oriented things. It's really
Yeah.
helpful. She helps with as well, and so we've got a little bit of an art team going on. She's our only dev though.
I'm the only one who knows how to use the game engine. I'm the only one who knows anything about programming or game development in a technical sense. So
I'm learning a little bit of modeling.
I have to show her some, like I was teaching her some modeling.
We have a feline.
Is the cat in frame? Wait.
She ran in frame.
I love you've already got it. You're like, you see everybody raising the brick. You're going, "Does the cat come by?"
The cat's like,
Yeah.
So that's a good
I know
point.
you wanna be
Is this your first game, and then if so, like, what would make you decide, like, hey, I'm gonna make a game? Like, there's so many things you could do, right?
Right.
So this is their first game project. I actually am in college for game design. So in a technical sense, I've made other games. I just have not published other games, right? Actually, a few years ago, I was writing this story as a book. And then I was like, this book feels less like a book and more like a game or something. So, because like, there's too much agency with the main character, you know?
Yeah.
And also the idea of fighting demons sounds 10 times better in a video game. So I changed my degree from microbiology to game design like a rational person would. On a whim.
Completely changed career paths.
Completely changed career paths.
Totally different.
It was great. It was much to the dismay of my parents. Because I was going to be a scientist.
Maybe not microbiology, but at least in biology, they're used to seeing illustrations without the skin on.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked about it. I was also going to school for undeclared biomedical when I went to college, and that was one of the things I was interested in.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why I love horror, especially because like with microbiology, like I love virology, I love like Resident Evil and stuff like that. So I think I started to kind of go off in that direction, then it went a different way. But at first, back in 2019, I tried to make the game. I swiftly learned that I had no idea how to program. So I stepped back.
That's usually a pretty good hurdle to jump.
I was like, I'm just gonna
kind of it's
speed bump.
Yeah.
Like, I'll learn it. It's fine. I can figure it out.
That's kind of how I
that
feel
hard.
about the whole 3D modeling thing that I'm trying to tackle.
Yeah.
I'm
It's totally
how to
fine.
do the texture.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it'll be fun, and I still want to learn how to do it, but it's not going to be something I'm going to learn in a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and then it was one of those things where I was kind of pushing through it, but it was like everything was held together by tape and dreams. It was not working. So I was like, let me step back from making Livia, because if I publish Livia with this horrendous code and I go to do like a update or something, it's going to break it. Like I will never be able to do DLCs if I code this way. I need to learn how to make really good structured programs. So I stepped back from it and I focused really hard on doing smaller projects for class, and then just always kind of shooting ahead whatever the class was asking me to do. And then when it was time to kind of go back and I was like, okay, I know how to program now, I went back and started making Livia. So the demo that we have right now, I've only been doing since like January of this year.
Wow.
Which doesn't sound like a lot if you don't know how to do game dev.
No, it does.
If
Yeah,
you know,
it's
you
huge.
know.
It's huge.
When she like brought me in, I think we actually did the 4-hour convo before I actually saw the game. And then when I went over to her house, she showed it to me, and I was like,
oh,
all right. I was like,
she was
shocked because I didn't think it would be bad, but like it's it
looks more like a AAA game,
and it's like I know
Yeah.
she's still in school and like all this stuff, and then she opens it up, boots it up, and I'm like,
yeah, no, I get off on like making people go, what?
right? And I was like,
You did
okay, all right, I didn't. Let's do this.
I love it. It's so
I've had
cool.
LinkedIn people send me back my resume and go, "There's no way in hell you made that game."
Because originally,
Because it's just like they're like there's no way you did that. And like what at the time 6 months I was like, yeah, no, I just don't sleep. They're like, nobody can do that in 6 months. It's like, well, I just did.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
eat it.
Yeah, because originally when I joined the project, I was just gonna do concept art. It was like I have a full-time job as a manager somewhere else. I was like, I'm just gonna do concept art. I'm not like, I had actually quit my second job because I decided like, hey, I am making like no money at the second job because I just got promoted full-time in my other one, and the hours was all wonky, and the other one was a service industry, and like you have to work more to make more doing that.
Yeah.
You're working 2 days a week on like the pool tipping. I'm making nothing. So
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, if I just put the same amount of work and get more sleep, into my art, let me see how that plays out. And then right when I had made that decision, she had reached out to me because we met actually at my job.
The way I met her is hilarious.
Yeah, and we can definitely tell you that story too. But yeah, and so So yeah, I was just like, I'm just gonna do the concept art. Like, this is what I'll do in my free time. It'll give me prompts. It'll give me something to do. It's in a style that I really like. And then I saw the game, and I was like, I'm all in. I was like, I'm gonna help her make this thing a reality into something that goes somewhere, because like, dude, it could really go somewhere, in my opinion.
Yeah. So actually, a good question about the design of the game. Like, so I know it's not completed. I know you're still working towards that goal eventually. But is there anything so far that you would say you want to change or do different, or is there any sort of experience so far that you've done that, like, you've learned something like, yeah, I can't do it this way. Like, it's obviously much better, doing it this way. Is there anything like that you want to talk about?
I think that's more of a me thing.
Yeah, I have one thing, but it's like I was like, delegation. I need to learn.
Yeah,
I was taking on a lot of art stuff at first by myself, and like, I'm glad that I have a little bit of a team, but you don't, so you can go on.
Yeah, because it's just me and my lonesome inside the engine. One of the first things I realized pretty early on is I had to divvy things up. So the reason why the stupid Demogorgon monsters are in the demo that I brought before is because I bought those because I needed something to build the AI on, other than like a blue capsule or something. Yeah. Because what I realized pretty quickly is I needed to kind of blast my way through programming the core system of the game so that I can then set that aside and start modeling all of the enemies and characters and all that good stuff, right? Because if I were doing both at the same time, we would be here forever. Realistically speaking, I shouldn't be doing both at all, right? But it's much easier not to switch gears like that. So that's why I had done it the way that I did. The difference between the demo that we did a few months ago, actually that was like a month ago. Wait, wasn't it?
That was, yeah.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, the difference between the demo a month ago and the demo I have right now is like 3 or 4 different versions of like updates and changing and stuff like that.
I mean, she was sitting there literally the second day of Southern Fried Gaming Expo.
At it, yeah.
And she had, like, I walked in it early in the morning, had my coffee, like I was getting set up, and I just walked in there real quick, and she's sitting there with a notepad, like full notepad, ledger pad of all these notes, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm doing an update. I got a hotfix, like all this stuff. People found all these things wrong with my game." But she was like excited because like she was getting so much feedback from QA.
Yeah, because it's like you end up in kind of like a bubble, where it's like, because it's like like, and you were explaining this before,
developers
but like,
will
you're
always
going
play
through
the
same
game
path
perfectly.
Well, and you'll always pick the same path.
Yeah,
obviously, you know
true.
which way is the way to go, so you go that way, and you don't realize that other ways might have other problems.
Mm-hmm. And that's very much how it is. It's almost like having like a toddler. Not to call all the gamers toddlers, but they totally are, right? It's because you set up these bounding rules of, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you get from point A to point B, little Timmy.
Yep.
And Timmy goes, no.
I am so guilty.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then they somehow end up clipping into oblivion.
Or you tell the toddler, the toddler says, "Hey, I want an applesauce," and you said, "Okay, here's an applesauce," and they go, "No, I don't want an applesauce, no." But
and I'm really guilty of like
different toddlers
pulling things that I don't have to fight. Like, I have to fight them, but if I can walk past them, I'm really bad about just letting them all follow me. And then dealing with them at the last second.
And then she had like 10 Demogorgons behind her.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
That's,
if I don't have to deal with it right now, if I can like maybe sneak by, I'm gonna try to sneak by.
That's how I play like
think about the mechanic.
Like WoW, like World of Warcraft. I always I'll try other classes, but I have to use the like rogue with the stealth because I can't.
Maybe you should think about that mechanic and make sure you watch people who are kiting. Because then something else can trigger after like 5 minutes of following the character.
We've talked about ways to punish people who play games like me.
Yes, we have. So one of the major things I have is they will not follow you at long distance. They will, if you haven't caused damage to them after a certain amount of time, they will just give up and go back to their patrol area. That way you don't have.
So this is going to be a game for me. I may be able to finish this game.
Yes. One of the other kind of mechanic things that we have in mind is that the game, because games are supposed to adjust the difficulty as you're playing through them, and one of the ways we do that is kind of feeding into the lore. So demons in this universe run off of souls. They kind of attack each other to get stronger. So if you have a bunch of souls on you because you have killed a bunch of demons, the stronger demons are going to start seeking you out. because you give more of a, I don't know, calorie content to them, basically, right?
Because the more that you've absorbed, the more that you have. I mean,
the more you have to take. Yeah. So the little ones are going to be like, I'm scared of that person. I'm going to go this way, because they can sense the amount that you're
going to lose.
And then the big ones are going to be like, this is a hearty snack.
Like, you go from being alive and fighting your inner demons to being dead and fighting the outer demons.
Yes. Yeah. One of the things I really like with how I want to design the game is kind of as you're moving through it, the idea of what is currently happening and what is a flashback starts to become more arbitrary, I guess, right? Like you're kind of like, I have no idea where I am in the storyline right now because she doesn't either. There's that, like the game starts off feeling very open world, and then as you go from one level to the next, you're like, okay, I am in Wonderland. Like this is none of this. Why are the walls moving? There was a room behind me a second ago, but now there's not.
Like, so you think you'll know the rules, and then the rules will change as you go on.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Which is where we get into the psychological direction. The reason I have it built as a Dark Souls-esque game is because of a joke that I made once. Because I was like, man, this mental health shit is like playing Dark Souls, but you have no revives. Because it's hard, it's really hard sometimes. So it was like, I feel like if there's a game about fighting your mental issues, it would have to be a Dark Souls game, basically. So that's why we built it that way.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, mental health is a huge thing that a lot of people, I think, overlook, but it's, that's number one. That's the first thing that you got is your mental health. And it's very important. So
it's the first thing you wake up to every day.
And I think that's
the last thing you're stuck with when you go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why I put so much into the game too, is because there's been times where I've had nothing else. Right. Yeah. I've literally been homeless before. So it's like, I know what the feeling is when you have nothing and no direction. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I rationalize working as hard as I do in the game, which is probably why I managed to make that demo so quickly. Because I'm like, I'm like, okay, I'll allocate money here or time here. I'll have less work here. I probably won't be able to eat steak this week, but I've survived on a bag of carrots for a month, so I don't care. You know what I mean? I've been through worse, essentially. Things like that. And, I'm not in that kind of a bad place, but it's nice to know that I have the strength to deal with pretty much anything.
Yes.
So it's one of the only things I got out of that was nice. But yeah.
And maybe people playing through it, it's if you've ever struggled with mental illness, like you sometimes you like hit a roadblock and you're like, I can't do this, and so you panic and you freak out and you just you become like a stalemate, right? And you just, I can't do anything. But if you're playing a game that's really all about confronting those in the game mechanisms, like when you find out that you can in this game confront and beat and move past these, issues, it kind of gives you like, okay, if I can do this in a game and that's basically the same thing, maybe it gives you some courage to move forward and to confront those things yourselves or be able to, have some insight. Yeah.
And I think that's the nail on the head, really. Cause for a lot of us, I presume, cause I assume we all like video games. That's something that you kind of do.
Know?
It's just a lucky guess,
It's probably,
and for me,
podcast, who knows?
For me, is I played video games with other people, but most of the time it was something I did by myself. I would play online with other people, but ultimately you're by yourself in a room. And so it's kind of, in a way, an intimate thing that you're doing with yourself. And you can think, it's like I was saying earlier about how, when I'm drawing, I mean, this is an ADHD thing now that I think about it, but, when I'm drawing, I'm also thinking about other things, hopefully related to the drawing, but maybe not. Right. And that's kind of how I feel like gaming is too. When I get in the zone and I'm just playing, killing people, dying, respawning over and over again, and I'm just kind of focused on that, then my brain might wander to other things, but in I want to say in a more healthy way, because you do have something else you're also focusing on as well. Right. And I feel like that with a game like this, it will help benefit in that way as well, but in a little bit more of a direct way, hey, this is the thing you're doing right now. That's awesome. So that's kind of I completely agree with what you just said, because that's how I feel about it.
Awesome. Yeah. That's so cool.
So there's 5 questions that we typically ask all of our guests. and we're gonna go through them, and hopefully you
I'm
guys
so
have
bad
good
at these
answers.
kinds of
I'm
questions.
scared.
Dude. So bad.
There is
kidding.
a pass
There-
fail. There's I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
I'm
There
gonna
is a
get
pop
an
quiz.
F.
No, I mean obviously there's no right or wrong answer. We're just gonna ask you some things, and you guys can tell us a little bit about it. So first one I've got for you is, what is your favorite animated character from a game, a movie, cartoon, or comic? So it could be any animated character. But which one would you say is your
Why are
favorite?
you looking at
I
me?
go
Or if you have
first.
multiple favorites, because like
No.
I'm cool with that.
I don't want to like expose myself over the things I
No,
like.
go ahead. No,
Like-
I'm about to expose the shit out of myself. Go ahead. No, please.
All right. I'm gonna explain why, if that's okay.
Hey, listen, if
I'm not
it's
a furry,
weird, the
but-
weird
It's
is
just
better.
a-
No,
You
it's
are
not
just
about
a really
that.
good
Answer.
company. Okay.
it's about it's okay. I really liked My Little Pony. Okay.
Yes.
And yeah, I really liked it. It was there.
Yes.
Like it has nice life lessons. I mean, there's
Mhm.
that, but also like
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot growing up, and it was something that was
Mm-hmm.
like there, and like me and my friend group was really into it, and like all this stuff. And so when I watch it, and like I'll admit I watch it now sometimes too. All right.
Yeah.
When I watch it, it like brings me back to a time where like to that time, but like in a nice way, not in like all the terrible things kind of way, but like in a nice way of like, this is comforting, this is nostalgic, I really like this. And
Yeah.
I've been trying to actually watch more stuff from around that time, because it's like kind of the way I thought about it then versus the way I think about it now. The contrast is really interesting. So that's kind of like where I would say animation wise. Also, can't go wrong with Avatar. That was really a good show
Yes.
as well.
Yeah. If we're keeping it mostly to childhood stuff, because I feel like it's easier to say my favorite thing from my childhood, because right now there's like a million animes that I will watch at the
That's
moment.
also kind of,
But I feel like it's
Yeah.
just not the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My Little Pony was also kind of a big deal for me. I didn't want it to be. I had a friend who was like a huge like.
I did that. To
Yeah,
my friends. I
yeah.
did that hard.
She basically was like, "Hey, do you want to come over have a slumber party?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah." And then I woke up the next day and she's like, "We're gonna watch cartoons." So I was like, "Okay, cool." She sits me down in a chair. She says, "You can't move," and I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "We're watching My Little Pony." He's like, "I'm not watching this childish
It's like
bullshit."
that sounds like
Yeah.
a pyramid scheme. Like
No,
you get
she
your-
literally, she basically like
I
strapped
tried
me
to
to the chair and was
I
like,
did
"You
this
have
to
to
multiple
watch this."
people. I did this to my entire friend group. Actually, well, one of my friends did it to me, and then I did it to a bunch of my friends. And then that's how we all ended up into it. I even got like my dude friends into it, which I know was like a whole thing. At the
Yeah.
time, but,
Oh,
like,
there's a brony.
it,
There's a
like,
whole brony.
yeah.
Yeah.
I made money off of making art for bronies. I did.
So what you were
What?
doing is you were
Yeah.
making clients, is what you were doing. You're like, you don't
I
like
wanna
My Little
see
Pony,
this
you need to
brony
start
artwork.
making art.
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
Whoa.
I have it. I have
We
it.
had a whole conversation about it because her and Katie are both big MLP fans, and they're really good at
Yeah.
drawing wings. And Katie did the logo for Livia, which has wings on it.
Mhm.
And I was like, "This, I'm so happy you used to be like, or are a brony, because you used to draw so many Pegasi. You're great at drawing wings now." And it became this whole conversation on Discord. They're like, "I can't believe you attacked her for."
Yeah, I know. And then we were talking about My Little Pony for like an hour. After
Yeah, and
that.
it was like, "Can we get back to doing the art now, please?"
Yeah, and then we were just drawing My Little Pony.
And then my other favorite that will never ever not be my favorite is Sly Cooper. Like the whole franchise, I love that game series, which is why I said I'm not a furry.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about the one with Lego She.
No.
And so-
Just like the voice actor for Sly, like that voice as a kid, first crush. That or Carmelita, one of the fucking other. They were both just so great. But I was like, but if they were people.
Yes.
Right.
But I'm hardcore about. I wish they would make an animated series of the game, because this like they stopped making the games, and the lore is actually pretty interesting. And I find myself writing thieving, heisting characters way too often now, which I think is part of
Just
the
to
reason
kinda,
why Five Cats.
like,
I was
doesn't
going to
have
say
that.
our other game idea has that in it very heavily. And now I know where it came from.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
kid
See, now
kid
Jade
franchise
outed
that's not
herself
about
instead of
murder and
Sage.
death. That's cats.
Yeah. What was
Well,
that?
I will say, I just kind of going back to the My Little Pony thing, total side note. So I have twin daughters, and I just bought them their first comic books at I'll call him a friend of the podcast, Inner Nerd, up in Brazelton comic book and more store. And I got them they're the first edition of My Little Ponies. So
yes, they're so cool.
Yeah.
I had a bunch
so
of those.
And you can literally get them at Hot Topic, which is just mom.
Yeah.
That's actually, I think, where I
Still
got
around.
them from. I don't remember. Like, I remember I used to get them as gifts for for my birthday, like just slipped
Awesome.
in bags and stuff.
Yes.
Pony comics. I think one of them I ended up with like 3 different copies. My family members were like, she likes ponies, so let's give her ponies.
It was funny because I was never like a horse girl. I was never like, oh yeah, horses, but I loved My Little Pony.
Right?
Put a
Yeah.
horse
See,
in
it had
front of
nothing
me,
to
I
do with
panicked.
horses for me. I had nothing. I was
Yeah.
obsessed with cats. 100% obsessed.
Yeah.
It was a problem.
Same.
All right. So the next question, what game do you play or have played that you're ashamed to tell your friends about?
So about the cat thing I just said, there's a game called Cattails that is based off. It's like not officially based off of because of like infringement or whatever, but it's based off of the Warrior Cat series books. I don't know if you guys know anything about what I'm talking about, but there's
I do actually
50 books in this series, and I read them all as a kid. And so when I found out about this Cattails game within like the past year and a half, I found out about it really recently. And I remembered like years ago that there was something that they were trying to make or develop that was like this. And then I just, I forgot about it. And then when I found out about this one recently, I was like, isn't this like this game that I heard about like when I was like in 8th, 7th grade?
And now it's
it totally is the exact same game. And I was like, oh my God. And so, yeah, I play that every now and again, and it's my guilty pleasure.
Yes.
Yes, that's a little,
that.
that's the little, little
furry
anime
bullshit.
opening.
Furry bullshit.
Being exposed.
Okay, so I was going to say mine was gonna. Oh my God, that looks so good though. I was gonna say that mine like was gonna be like Minecraft, and the reason at first I was gonna say that is because my ex-best friend was really into it, and I was talking to her, and my fiance had his headphones in, so I thought he couldn't hear me, and I was like, I would buy it to play with you, but he would ruthlessly mock me because. Like he's like a bit of like an elitist gamer. He's like, if it's not fighting games or Dark Souls or you know what I mean, then it's dumb.
I'm offended. I love Minecraft.
But he overheard that, so he bought it for me for Christmas. Like to be nice, he's like, I'm not going to judge you, but I am going to mock you.
That's
I don't know.
Still
Understand?
gonna get you.
I still don't know how to play that game. But what my really
But
guilty
we should play with
pleasure
Brian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My really guilty pleasure though is Roblox.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't
I
even
don't know why I
that
didn't
occurred
think of
for
that.
you.
So my little
She
sister
talks about it all the time.
Shut up. No,
You know,
okay. I do it to bond with my little. Okay, I have a sister who's 15 years younger than me. Right, I'm a grown woman. I live in my own house. I have, a spouse. We're getting married. Obviously, I don't live with my parents. My sister is like 11 right now. Right,
she's 503.
Yeah, I'm super old. Right. And she loves
What does that make
Roblox.
us?
She wanted me to play Roblox with her, so I made an account and stuff. And I did it kind of low key to stalk her to make sure that people weren't like being predatory.
Roblox
Like Club
can
Penguin,
be,
like
yes.
Club Penguin can get.
Exactly,
yeah,
right? I'm
it's
very
bad. I've got
protective.
sisters on Roblox too, actually.
And I'm not saying that I will hack you, but I will hack you if you say anything
being weird with
creepy
my sister.
to my sister.
Yes.
Yeah. So she plays Royal High primarily, if that means anything to you, and some of the other games. But that one, for example, you have to get to like level 75 to do the stupid trading hub, which means that she's in the trading hub speaking to people that I don't know. Right, and I'm stuck in the main area because I'm level like 20 something. So I've just been grinding nonstop to get back into level 75.
Secretly likes it.
Just so you can get to 75.
I totally don't love collecting the gigantic, beautiful skirts and dressing myself up as some kind of
No,
goth queen.
not at all.
No,
that
I hate
the
it.
worst kind of
the whole
gameplay.
time I
What
do it, I'm like, I'm hating this. I'm matching like. But yeah, I'll be playing it at 3:00 in the morning, and then like some teenagers will be in there at 3:00 in the morning, and I've seen the most absurd bullshit on there that I'm like, why does my sister play this game?
Yeah.
You know what? That is totally worse than the cat.
Curious.
It is so much. Look, dude, I'm just here to grind, and you'll have like 2 8-year-olds who are in a long distance relationship.
I'll say, and
arguing
some
about
people are there to
cheating or
grind as
something.
well. just
Whoa.
not necessarily the same
No.
way.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
my little sister's actually. I have 3 little sisters, and they're all really into that stuff. And it's like I tried. I downloaded it. I tried, and the only game that I liked was a Minecraft knockoff. So I just gave up at that point. And it also, the game that I was doing was apparently not leveling me up at all, because apparently there's games that don't do that. I don't understand how it works at all. And so like I was just by myself in a room picking up dirt.
The other thing that kind of forced me into it is I work as a private tutor. I work with varsity tutors on the side, and then I do it through the business as well. And a lot of the times when there's like tutoring to teach kids programming, a lot of them, I almost said gay kids, which is whatever. I get gaming to kids, gay kids,
children.
yes. No, to teach kids programming, like there's, the Unity classes, which nobody signed up for. And then there's like 1,000,001 Roblox coding courses that they keep going. Can you please teach this course? Can you please teach this course? And I keep explaining to them, like, Roblox's programming is ass. It sucks. Like I've seen like in the engine, it's supposed to be like super beginner friendly. It is bullshit. All of it is just terrible.
That's how I feel about like when I first started doing art. That's how I felt about a lot of the art programs.
Yeah, I'm like sitting in here like, how do you do anything in this?
Yeah,
Like,
and then I still use an art program that like like I use Sketchbook Pro, which is not something that most people use. Other, what was it? Paint, I think, or something like that. I forget what it's called. No, not Clip Paint. There's like most people use that, as everyone is aware. No, I don't remember the name of it, but there's like a bunch, or like Photoshop, like other Photoshop adjacent ones. But I just stuck to Sketchbook Pro because I hate change, and that was the program I learned on.
Yeah,
There you
you
go.
should make change a monster.
Oh
Yeah.
that was already. I've already been thinking about that.
All right.
Syndrome.
Third question, ladies. If you could eat one meal anywhere in the world, where and what would it be?
I already know my answer.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a caprese sandwich in Italy, because they never make them right here. And I had the first time I ever had a caprese sandwich was in Capri, Italy. And so when I came back, I was like, I love this kind of sandwich. And so then I got it, and it's awful. It's terrible. And now every time I want one, I can't, because it's all the way across the freaking world.
We actually
So I already know
found
the answer to that question.
one of our earlier podcasts, we talked about there's a company that is from Italy that will ship you pizza. Like they'll make it.
They will
like-
make money off of me if they ship me a caprese
They will make it.
sandwich.
Actually, I think
that's not a caprese sandwich.
No, I think they actually bake it too, and then they dry ice it,
That's
ship it to
awesome.
you like overnight. So like if you have to have it from Italy, like you can get it. It's like $80
Imagine
for
all
one
like the
pizza.
pregnant women
Well,
who
my-
are like, I need this.
Well, my family's Italian, so we have a lot of like good recipes like that. So if I really wanted an Italian pizza, I could just ask my Uncle Jim.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe you can find
Yeah.
a site like that that can
Maybe
You know,
that would be really great. I would.
And FYI, I happen to be in an industry where I know that there's currently a dry ice shortage. So
Yeah.
pass.
I actually, my mom is
Yeah.
in an industry where they
Sad.
know that too, and I heard about that. There's also like a helium shortage and an aluminum shortage, from what I understand.
Why?
Good God.
How? Okay, we're not getting into that.
No.
Never mind.
Hey, Jade.
Sorry,
Okay.
I have ADHD.
So
You're good.
I have two answers with this, and both of them so
Okay.
my family are pretty mixed. On my dad's side, I have a little bit of like Middle Eastern, right? Because my grandfather's from Syria, so like I love Syrian food. I've always wanted to go to visit my family in Syria and have like my great grandmother on that side's version of the grape leaf soup that my grandmother, his wife, makes, because she makes it, but she's not really from Syria.
That
She's from
sounds
Honduras,
amazing.
but she learned it directly from her mother-in-law, so it's probably pretty much the same thing. But I just really want to try it. But what I really want, since we're raging about authentic food right now, apparently, is I'm from New Orleans, right? And I love muffaladas, right? We're talking about sandwiches. My brain immediately went to muffaladas or muffalettas, right? Big ass round sandwich. It has like this like olive tapenade
Yes.
chopped up stuff. I can never find that around here and it be the right thing. Like I've had people tell me that it's a muffaletta and I get it and I'm like, this is not a fucking muffaletta. I don't know what this is. Same thing with like po' boys, anything with French bread. And it's also like the altitude. Like if you bake French bread in Georgia, in this area, it will not taste the same as it does in New Orleans because the altitude. Like, and people go, really the altitude? You're blaming on the altitude? It's like, no, literally it changes the way the baking process is,
It's
right?
like meringues.
Yeah, it was same thing with
have that
meringues,
same issue.
which is why like I don't like the freaking lemon meringue pie just tastes better down there. I don't know what it is. But yeah,
I
see,
was just
just
about
look
to
how
ask.
good that is.
That does look good.
Oh god, I want. I tried to make
I was like,
beignets.
what the
I tried
hell is a
to.
muffalata?
You didn't
They're
know what a
so
muffaletta is?
good.
Oh.
So there's a place like there's if you go to New Orleans, there's Cafe Du Monde, which you should get beignets. And then
Always.
behind Cafe Du Monde, there's the other place that I don't remember the name of that has the muffaladas. And my mom will go there, and we will order 2 huge, like size of your head muffaladas, and we will just wolf them down. Like, oh man, because it's like you just can't like the bread. You can't make it the same way here. I can at least make beignets here, and they'll taste the same. But I can't make muffaladas.
It's like how you can make meringues here, but they're not. Yeah.
You're gonna have to teach me how you make your beignets because mine never turn out the right way.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Brian?
it's a tedious process.
Yeah. Brian, I think you have the next
so-
question. Or Brian?
What
Team high
game?
five.
Nope, not Brian.
Let's high five.
There
No.
we go.
I don't know where we are
Wait,
on your.
I know
There
where
we
we're
go.
at. I know where my co-hosts are.
Yeah. He's right there.
Having a
So-
Brady Bunch moment.
Right?
Hi guys.
Hey.
Shove it.
Yeah, we'll high five later then for sure. No, we don't.
So,
Sorry, derailed.
what
bad.
is a game that you like that you think didn't get a fair shake or it was really overlooked?
So I am. It was well known. I think a lot of people played Slime Rancher. It's a lot. I feel like a lot of
Oh, I
people know
saw that
about
one,
it,
man.
and because like YouTubers played it and it was good, and I have been playing it since like a long time, and
Yeah.
I remember like getting its updates and all this stuff, and it got the hype and all these things, but then it just, and I don't think of any like result of anyone who was like there, but like the interest in it just fell off, and it's like it was such a cool game. There was lore going on, there was like all this stuff, and it's like no one, it's just there's no more like stuff going on with it, and I really liked that game. It was relaxing. I really liked it.
I also love
I own
the
it.
fact. I also love the fact that in that game, because I played it early access as well. Like I played it really early on. But I love the fact, like, unlike any other game that was kind of similar or like that, you would capture these things, you would put them in their little containers, big containers actually, right? And you'd put more in there, and the little fuckers would get out. It was
Right? They would just. I don't know. And then also the tar creature thing, like that was super like cool and interesting, and also extremely
Those
annoying.
bastards.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like
Oh god.
you get one, and that music starts playing, and you're like, "Oh my god,
No.
they're all dead. They're all dying. It's over."
It was almost like the Jurassic Park version of slimes, because it's like
Right.
nature will find its way. It'll get out. It'll climb up
Oh,
over
man.
the like. Oh god, it was fun. It was.
Oh my
fun.
God, yeah,
I'm
you
so
can
sad
still-
I never played this game.
Oh my god, it's still like available.
I'm learning
It's just
about
not
it right
doing
now
it
as you
anymore.
I got it
Oh,
for
your
my
brain-
work and
My brain
hadn't
immediately
even
went to
played
the pinatas game on the Xbox.
I
dude.
played that for
No,
the
it's not
first
like
time
Viva
like
Pinata.
a year ago. I had never played that before a day in my life.
I thought it was a fever dream, dude. Like I really did. I was sitting here like because I thought nobody else knew that the game existed. Because I used to play it all the time, and then I would lose all of my memory. Like it wouldn't freaking save. So I'd have to do it all at once.
No.
And and nobody seems to know that except for you, I guess.
No, I played that game for the first time on my
You played
friend's
that.
like Xbox thing or whatever, and I really liked it. But yeah, I wouldn't save any of my
Okay,
progress.
so I'm not an idiot. It was
So-
actually not working.
Yeah.
Okay.
So both of you played the Souls version of Viva Pinata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
The game that I think didn't get a fair chance though, and it's going to be funny because it's not even like I feel like everyone who's in that community really wanted this game to get made, but it just didn't. It was the PT, right? The playable trailer for the new Silent Hill
Yes.
that they teased it.
Oh.
Everyone lost their collective shit, and then nothing.
They never said it was Silent Hill.
That's true. That is true. That is a true
Just PT.
story.
I know,
No,
but like
no,
I think
the-
no,
the
because if you
ending-
solved all the puzzles at the end, you got a trailer, you get a teaser, and it actually said Silent Hill, but you had to
Yeah.
solve the PT.
Yes.
Got it.
Right,
Okay.
and it was
Yeah, it was
brilliant.
like-
it was
it was the
genius.
main
They had my
character.
favorite comic
Hence,
artist
I've
doing
never
the concept
never
art.
played
like,
it or beat it.
It was me. I was doing the concept.
I know,
art.
no. Like
No.
Junji Ito is going to be making all of the concepts.
Oh wait, that is your
Yeah, this is you're
you've
my
brought him
like
up before.
Walmart brand of Junji Ito.
I
She's gonna be the next one. It's fine.
No,
She could have said Dollar General, so I mean, hey.
That's
you know.
fair. She could
I
have.
love
but
your
her
chemistry. Your
her art
chemistry is
does
amazing.
really give dingy vibes, and that's why I love it so much.
So when you had said that name, I'm really terrible with names. When you had told me that name, when you had told me, like, compared it before, I was like, what? I don't know. And so I was like, I don't know who that is. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, I know who this is. Like, and it is a huge inspiration in a lot of like that style of art that I do.
Yeah.
It definitely, And
Yeah,
so I
which
was
is-
just like, oh my God, that's such a big compliment. Thank you.
Oh.
It's
Awesome.
the biggest compliment I could give you. To be
Right?
honest.
I was like, once I figured it was like a delayed reaction compliment too.
You're
I
like,
was
"I'm
like,
so
oh yeah,
honored."
thanks. And then I looked it up later and I was like, thank you.
Yeah, and what really killed me with the PT is obviously I'm really inspired by Silent Hill. I mean, like, my game has demons based
I
off
love
of your
it.
mental state. That's literally Silent Hill, minus the whole God thing with the
Yeah.
the cult or whatever. It has some really strong like inspirations in how we personify issues, right? So I love Silent Hill. I really want a copy of the Silent Hill 2, like the greatest hits for the PlayStation 2. Or Silent Hill 3 for the whatever. Any of them, honestly, just not the remake, because the remake was terrible.
Wait, was it that game that you found?
Yeah, the game
And
that I
was
saw
like a
at the
$2,000
expo.
or something?
No,
What was it?
they had a copy, like the black label PlayStation 2 copy of Silent Hill 2, I think, and it was like $120, and it was
100.
at the
What?
Southern Fried Gaming
there
Expo,
was
and I
something
did
else.
not have the
Crazy.
money for it, and I was so angry because every time I run into this stupid thing, I don't have the money for it. But the reason why it's so expensive is because the remake is terrible, so the only way to play the game in a good way is either to emulate it or to have a physical copy of the original like version of it. And I still have my PlayStation 2. Like I collect like retro systems. I have the PlayStation 2, I have the N64, I have a couple of DSs, I have I still have like the Wii U. I really want to get like the Famicom, which I also saw, which I did not have the money for. Like, I really want a Famicom though.
I've seen a
so
theme there.
badly.
Yes.
Yeah. The theme is that I spend all of my money on game assets.
Yeah,
That's
well,
awesome.
That's kind of
That's
the
fair.
business, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
last question we have for you is: if you could credit one person or experience from your past to contribute to where you're at today, who or what would that be? Both of you, but
She's
Yeah,
knowing
that's
that
yours.
mine is
Oh,
a long
I'm gonna
answer.
cry. I cried in one interview. Now I'm gonna cry in this one too.
Because like because what's yours?
Well, so I'm not saying every.
She's like, it's not you.
No, that's fine because she knows it's like the story. Or
So
whatever.
the story, one of the central pivoting points of the story is trauma. Livia, the character, is processing her trauma, and a lot of the things are not completely confirmed in the game because I still want players to be able to play as Livia and project themselves upon her to get the same catharsis. But a lot of the trauma that I'm implying with Livia are personal events or events of people that I know personally who've given me permission to kind of insert into this character. And like writing the book originally was just a way for me to process said trauma. Like I was writing the book about a girl who goes around killing bad guys because doing that is apparently illegal in reality. So what I did is I wrote a book about it. So that way I knew that I couldn't go and just get revenge on
Then
people
she would
who hurt
immediately
me
go to jail.
because then it would be plotted.
It'd be
So
like
then,
a whole
boom,
manifesto right there.
I've tied my
Yeah.
hands. Perfect. Now I get to stay out of prison. You see, I know myself. But writing the story was a way for me to process some really heavy bullshit, essentially. And then as I was writing the story, telling people about it, I was like, this needs to be a game. And then I started making the game, and then people go like, wow, the story really resonates with me. I too also have been through trauma bullshit. And then it became kind of this point where it means stuff to people besides myself, like her and like plenty of other people. And then it's like just kind of the community that's building around it is what keeps me going with it. It keeps me really excited on it. Because I don't want to go too far directly into it, but for example, some of the milder things is I've literally been disowned for like trying to do a man's job. My grandmother very much wanted me to marry some rich Arab dude that was a friend of her husband. Yeah,
Sorry,
my
I
hoe
didn't
American
think
ass. You wanna marry me off to some Muslim dude? I have way too many opinions. Like I don't think we, because
It's not gonna
they're
gel.
right
No.
because the kind of
No,
religious that
pass.
Yeah.
the kind of religious that my grandfather is in his faith is the kind that would absolutely beat the hell out of me
Right.
for having opinions. So I'm not saying that's like all Muslims or something. It's just the specific company that
Yes.
he keeps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, I know I want to go to school, and they were like, because growing up, she always told me, "Oh, we're rich. I'll pay for whatever school you want. Just do good in school." I did good in school, and then suddenly it was like, well, you didn't get a full ride scholarship anywhere, so you must not be a good student. I'm not paying for your school.
That was the secret.
Oh
catch.
my
Oh
God.
my gosh.
Mm-hmm. My friend's son, he goes to Harvard. He has full scholarship for Harvard.
So you did not.
I was like, they don't give
because you're not like Wow, that's
I'm not
ridiculous.
I'm pretty smart, but I was also
God.
basically raising my little sister at the time too.
Yeah.
Like my grades went down
Yeah.
because of that.
And also, everybody at Harvard
How
doesn't have
dare
a
you.
full fucking scholarship.
Yeah.
FYI.
Yeah.
How dare you raise your sister?
How dare I make sure my sister doesn't crawl into an oven because I'm trying to cook cookies. She was an interesting child. Anyway, I love her. She's doing some of the voice acting for the trailer.
Yeah.
I have her
nice.
playing as a very sad child for the voice acting. She's very good at that. She's concerning. But that's kind of part of it. But when I left my grandmother's house, right, I had all my stuff in a trash bag. I was sneaking out to leave. She caught me, and she lost her shit. She went off. And she took everything off of me. Like, that scene from Cinderella where the stepmother and the sisters are ripping her dress apart?
Mm-hmm.
That's what she did, right? She completely disrobed me and gave me, like, a tank top and some sweatpants, and not sweatpants, like yoga pants, like the really thin, crappy ones, and threw me out in the cold, like, the peak of, like, February, right?
Jeez.
And I'm sitting on the front porch with nothing but, like, my great-grandmother's old, like, hard shell train case that had...
Oh, that is
it
a
had
billion
couple,
pounds.
Yeah, those things are heavy, but like, and it's beautiful. It's got like authentic leather, and it has like this this pattern of like an Indian man with a headdress on it because my family on my mother's side is Native American, and it's been in the family for generations on my mom's side. This is my grandmother on my father's side, and there's like this feud. But she couldn't take that. That was the one thing she couldn't take. So she took everything else except for a couple of like little scraps of clothes that I came there with that she deemed indecent. So tank tops, sweatpants, shorts, like pajamas, because she's one of those like you have to wear dresses all the time kind of people. But she took everything from me. I'm sitting on the porch and she's telling me that I'm going to be worthless. I'm not going to make account to anything. She basically laid this fat ass curse upon me. And tried to spin something like I was going to be some junkie dead in a ditch. So I've never done drugs. Ever. She was like, you're going to be some junkie dead in a ditch somewhere, with 7 kids and no husband and fucking... I'm like, I don't
know how you got to 7 kids without some dude.
I know, yeah.
I know. I can't even have kids.
Right.
That's the thing. And she knows that. But anyway, I was like, so you're blessing me with fertility. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But like,
it's like, actually, wait, yes on the 7 kids, because then at least I got
Sure, let's do it. Let's try.
Yeah, but so she told me all this stuff, and it really resonated with me, and that carried with me for a long time. And I was homeless for a bit, like I mentioned earlier. Kind of went in and out of the fuck it's called, a psychological hospital. So what happened is I tried to jump into oncoming traffic, and my cousin my aunt's newly wedded husband's nephew, so cousin, I guess. That didn't last very long, but he pulled me out before I went. My aunt forced me into the hospital, which I guess is fair. And I was in there for a while, and they had me on all these medications, and I felt like my insides were bleeding all the time, like they weren't feeding me enough, and then I was just lethargic all the time. And I came back, and while I was gone, my aunt had received my food stamp card, spent all of it, and there was no food for me when I came back. So I'm being forced to take all this medication. I'm in some weird limbo. I'm not eating, which is making the medication worse. And also, I'm probably low-key bleeding internally. And it was just overall like the worst time of my life. And I carried that with me for a long time, and I still kind of do. And when I finally got back on my feet, I, managed to get into college. I filled out my FAFSA. I got into school. I used that student aid to get me into an apartment, like, immediately. to pull myself out of the situation. And I just started working like nonstop. Because the idea of not having that place was terrifying for a while. At first, it was like, I have to work and work and work and work. And I had like a perfect GPA for the first year of school until my mom started dropping off my fucking sister again. And then it kind of went down again. But at some point, I'm like running like dead on towards microbiology. Like, I'm going to be a researcher, I'm going to be a scientist, I'm going to do this. And I got to a point where I was like, do I want to even do that? Like I was writing the book and it felt like I was trying to divide myself into two parts. I was writing something creative on one side and I was doing something scientific on the other. And it was pulling my brain in two different directions to do both of those things because they are so far apart. And that's, I think, along the time where I was like, this needs to be a game. And then I also realized that game development is such a good way for me to have that creative outlet, that I needed, but also have that science, because game development is constantly evolving, technology is evolving, the systems are evolving. So I get that constant needing to learn something more that I needed from biology. Because if I can master something, I have no interest in it, right? I get bored with it pretty quickly because I move through things pretty quickly too. Which is why I was doing biology and not like just regular medicine, because it's like that. You've just kind of memorized things and you're just going across this board of symptoms that you have all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there is always like developing.
There's
stuff,
developing, but you're not doing the
development.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to do the research. Also, I hate people, so I was just like,
no patience.
Give me a room. Yeah, I would rather. I was actually thinking of doing it. Like, if I couldn't become a scientist doing research, I wanted to be a mortician and just do like autopsies and stuff.
But there's that skin thing. I guess Sage couldn't visit you.
No, well, no, I would see. Then once she took the skin away, then the barrier would be gone, and then it'd be fine.
Right.
Yeah. But I really wanted to be able to satisfy both of those needs, because I felt like I was like suffocating with it. So then I started doing the game, realized I needed to get better at coding. So I went so hard in the coding, and I got to the point where I am on the same level as a lot of the graduate students at my college. I actually teach graduate students how to program. I haven't even graduated yet with my with my bachelor's, and when people realize, like, dude, you've only been making games for about like a year and a half and you've done this, because that's how long I've been programming, period. Like a year and a half, almost 2 years at this point. They're like, whoa. And I'm like, it's just because like I program like my soul is on fire, like I have something to prove, because I do. And I think that's where me and a lot of my classmates don't measure up in the same ways, because I had one guy try to compare him to me because he was feeling bad because my game was coming along faster than his was. And I was like, well, what's your motivation? And he was like, I want a good grade to be a good programmer. I'm like, and that's a good motivation. That's fine. But you're not operating as if people are watching you and waiting for you to fail. Right. And I think that's where a lot of my extra steam comes from.
So ultimately, are you crediting your grandmother?
Yeah, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
And, eat shit. No. It's hard not to, because I feel like if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have so much of a motivation to do things, to execute the game as perfectly as it is in my vision, right? Because I could do an easier game. I could do a side-scrolling beat 'em up. I could do something with less high poly graphics and HD and AAA stuff. Like, I could do that, and it would still be the same story. I could make it into a damn RPG Maker game, which I thought about doing at some point. But I need it to be the vision that's in my head, and that vision is something that's higher than my skill can attain, so I have to increase my skill to get there. Which I gladly do,
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of that comes from just kind of this psycho vendetta thing that I have.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's excellent. I think we've made some great progress here today. And, sending you my bill.
For me, the reason why I credit like where I'm at like today to her is because like, and I still like do struggle with this a little bit, but like I like a lot of things. I like art. I like science. Like lots of subjects within science, specifically that are kind of different. And I went to school to college for a year. I went to UAB for undergrad biomedical. I was interested in becoming an orthopedic surgeon. I'm just shooting really high there. And then, I realized that they don't do the diagnosing. So then I kind of was like, wait, what? And so then I looked at radiology and But then while I was there, they were like, hey, we have this free teaching STEM thing that you can do for a little bit. And if you like it, you can, well, you'll still have to pay us. But,
Yeah.
This is what you want to, if you want to try it out. I was like, okay, just see, we need teachers. And so,
I love that we need teachers.
Right? And so I did it, and I found I actually really loved it. And during that time, I was struggling a lot mentally, like dark stuff. And so the only thing that I felt like I was succeeding and doing well at was the whole teaching thing. And I was like, but that's not anything with what I've envisioned for myself for the past 4 years. I did take a childhood education class in high school, but that was because it was still something that vaguely I thought knowing how to teach would be a helpful skill. It just because if you know how to explain something, then you can explain stuff.
And it is. It's helped me.
Yeah. And so that's why I took it originally. But I found I really liked it, and in that I found that I didn't know what I wanted. And so I was also not doing great in a lot of my other classes, and there's a nice little loophole where you can drop out of your classes before you fail them. So that's what I did.
There you go. Yep.
And so then I went for the second semester, right? And I went for the second semester all right, now I know what my weaknesses are. Let's go for it. No, I don't. And so then I went home. I moved home, and so then I dropped out because I was also $30,000 in debt from 1 year at a college, which was great. So I crushing debt, really feeling like a hot shit failure, and all this stuff. And so I come back home. And so for a few years, I had just kind of been floating on the idea of I like these subjects, but I don't know what to do with it. And the thing is whenever I was thinking about my future, it was never art. It was never art. It was always something else. Art was always just something I liked to do on the side. And people liked it, but whatever. Of course, my mom's gonna like what I draw.
Right.
I don't know. It's because I go in high school, I had a lot of artists friends, a lot, and I always felt like they were better at it than I was. So I was I don't know, and none of them are doing it as their career. So why would if they, who I think can do this better than me, aren't doing it for their career, then why would I do it for mine? And so then I started working at a pet store, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna become a manager here, and then I'll go back to school for something. And I just hadn't gotten that far yet. I was like, I do need to go back to school though and get a degree or some sort.
It's not always necessary.
You don't.
Yeah, my family, my family is supportive of what I do, but also it's you need a degree. And I'm like, okay.
I'll be honest here.
When are you getting a degree?
As somebody who's hired other people for jobs, no, you do not.
Actually, I think all three of us
everything that
have
I've been doing, I just need a degree for.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I know this now.
I really shouldn't have gone to school for it, to be honest. But now I'm too deep. I'm a senior.
Right.
Might as well fit in.
Right.
So, ladies, obviously it's been a pleasure talking to you guys.
They're putting the earbuds in. They couldn't hear you.
Yeah, the earbuds totally got knocked out.
Yeah, sorry. So I said it's been a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah.
So we have to wrap it up at some point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry,
I know it's
you're
been.
good.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'll
Good.
So Livia, so I know it's not.
She was going to speed run.
Oh, I was just going to speed run it real fast.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I have a question.
So she came in, her dog was sick, and she saw that I was doodling on the register, and it was stuff like this. And I was like, and she really liked it. And I was like, what? Okay. And so then she fell in love with my art, and then that's how we got connected. And we talked about that part earlier, I think. So, but that's how that kind of happened. And she kind of gave me something to work for and drive for that I genuinely enjoy. And it also has other aspects of it too now, other things that aren't art related, that it still keeps my interest, and it doesn't feel like I'm only doing one thing. And so that is why I am happy.
Yes. So thank God for my dog having explosive diarrhea. That's the reason I was at PetSmart at all.
Yeah.
She has no idea what she's done for me, this stupid dog.
Oh, I love that.
As I said, I obviously we can't sit here for I mean, I'd love to. It would just be, but no. So Livia, I know it's not. You don't have do you even have a release date yet? I would think probably not.
What we're planning on doing is having the Kickstarter release in March of next year.
Okay.
My idea is once the Kickstarter is released, hopefully that means that the demo should be done. Actually, the demo has to be done for school in December, so it'll be done because it's part of my classwork too.
Awesome.
So I'm going to spend the time between
gives us deadlines. Yeah.
it gives us a deadline, which is good. But that'll be done in December. I'm going to polish it and make it nice and sexy by March. That way, that first region is really fleshed out and done. That way, when the Kickstarter is launched, I'm going to have the game be done hopefully a year later, unless I hit some extra stretch goals that are things that would add time or something, you know? Because at that point, a year doesn't sound like a lot of time, but by March, all the core systems should be programmed, because right now, a lot of them are. And I'm just kind of tweaking and fine-tuning things. So the time between March of 2023 and March of 2024 is me just building the rest of the areas of the game, right?
Okay.
Just kind of putting trees in places and stuff like that, and making new art for new enemies and stuff like that.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
what platforms are we thinking?
Primarily PC.
Okay.
I've got the Steam page. I'm setting it up. We're waiting on art, like I mentioned earlier. I really want to release on PlayStation, but that costs money, so that's one of the stretch goals. That's one of the stretch goals for the.
That's a good goal, because I mean, if you have enough interest there, then you'll know, and then you can.
Yeah, because if you play Dark Souls, you might like the game, and Dark Souls is on PlayStation, so kind of following in the direction that they have their releases on. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how do we follow Arius Black Studios? Like, how do we? What is all the social information you guys have for us? How do we find you guys?
So our Instagram is just Arius Black Studios, all one word, smacked together. In there's a link tree that has everything else. So we do we have a Patreon. Yeah. We have a Facebook page, if anybody still uses Facebook. You know what I mean? We have a YouTube channel that I'm trying to be more active on. We're pretty much on every other social media. We have a TikTok. I don't post often on there.
Okay.
But we plan on doing that. Just while we're here, I have to figure out why I won't let you log in.
Yeah, once I can log in, then I can.
She's our social media person.
Yeah, I kind of do more of like the social media type stuff. Yeah,
she's got that magnetic personality, whereas mine is the opposite pole.
Hey, they said we had a good dynamic.
We do.
Yes, I love chemistry. You guys are fantastic. You're good. That's how it works. That's why.
Yeah. I always say she's gonna be like my talking head. I'll just stand behind her at conventions and people will ask a question.
I mean, you say that, but I came up and I started talking to you, Jade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking for like half an hour, and I had to like direct you. I was like, "Oh, this person's interested in your game." Like, look.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why talking should be her job, because I don't know when to stop. I just get so into it. I'm like, oh, there's all these lures and secrets, and then she's like, "You're not supposed to say that part."
Right. Like,
yeah. Okay, so I think we should close it out with like high fives on me. Hold on.
Let me just,
oh, wait. There we go.
There we go. There you go.
Yes, it is.
Oh wow, Coconut's coming over just in time.
Coconut's
perfect. Coconut.
She knew.
Cheers, Coconut.
She's so pretty,
hi, baby.
Oh, she's loving it.
Yeah.
She's a cloud. She's gonna be one of the cats.
Oh yeah, she's
gonna
be one of the cats in the cat game.
Awesome. I love
that.
it.
Will be on the socials because we don't have.
This is definitely why she came over here this time.
Yeah.
Well, Jade, Sage, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. We do appreciate you guys hanging out.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, closer to the game release, if you wanted to be back on and we can talk to you, ask you some new questions, see footage, we can do that too.
We'll have new answers.
But that's all the time we have for today on SASS Interviews. We appreciate you all stopping by. And until next time, you guys take it easy out there.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay.